David. And they said, no, 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 you can't tell David. He'd jump out the window. I don't think that's true, but there was some genuine concern that his distress might result in an unfortunate situation. So I said, well, look, I'm prepared not to tell him, provided that you do. Immediately he gets back to England, because I was going to stay in America for another week. Mm-hmm. So I returned to England to find that he had not been told, and he was only told the day before the Red sessions began. And rightfully, I think he was probably outraged at his shabby treatment and seemingly offhand way in which he was dismissed. So although I've made several overtures to David since to continue our friendship, because of all the people I worked with in Crimson, David was the closest to a really close personal friend that I had. Jamie Muir is a monk in a monastery on the border of Tibet. He left King Crimson to become a monk and remains so. And John with UK and Bill with Bruford.
Bill
there you have it. There you have it.
Okay, and we're off. I'd like to speak of someone else who's had a profound influence on you, speaking primarily of Brian Eno. We wanted to know if you use his method of oblique strategies in your work or in your everyday life.
No, I have my own way of working with hazard. Eno would describe this probably as random elements. Mm-hmm. I would use Bennett's idea of hazard, which is defined as chance and significance combined. That a random event may or may not have significance. A hazardous event always will. So Brian's particular way of dealing with random situations, if you like, is to produce an oblique strategy. I have a different way of dealing, and if a choice is finally needed, I'll toss a coin.
Really? Well, would you like to go more into depth as to your concept of hazard? I'm slightly...
All right. The 19th century had this fairly optimistic view that the universe was mechanistic, well, that wouldn't be optimistic, but that one could accurately predict any outcome. The 20th century, having seen a number of situations happening which couldn't be predicted, have revised the situation that, yes, we can predict accurately that maybe one random situation will occur in 10,000. Whereas the 19th century would have said, it will be the 998th. We can predict this. The 20th century would say, we can accurately predict that it'll be 1 out of 10,000, but we don't know which one. Mm-hmm. This is the hazardous factor. So if one accepts this as a universal situation, one could say that there is nothing guaranteed in the whole universe. Bennett expressed this as the idea of the dramatic universe. Mm-hmm. Another way of expressing it would be, the way I express it, the law of discontinuity of straight lines. Nothing moves from A to B in a straight line. Something always changes, always deflects. So this is a slightly less sophisticated version of Gurdjieff's law of 7, or a bit more sophisticated version of Murphy's law. That if it can go wrong, it will. Now, I don't know quite how far to go into this. If one accepts the idea that in any situation, it's not likely, if the situation is genuinely creative, it's not likely that one can accurately predict the outcome, which is a mechanistic situation. If the situation is mechanistic, it is therefore somewhat explicitly not capable of change and not capable of creative input. Mm-hmm. So things can go wrong. We find ourselves in a world situation where things are frequently going wrong, and we might throw our hands up in the air, like so, and say, but we're nice people, we're not creepy. Why should the world be in such a dreadful situation? Why doesn't God put it right? Where are these angels descending from the heavens, blowing trumpets and working hard to repair our environment and so on? This notion of the reciprocal maintenance, reciprocal eating, that everything is interlocked and interwoven. John Donne expressed this as ask not for whom the bell tolls. It tolls for you and me and so on. if one does accept this as more than an idea, and having worked on it to a degree, particularly through the Sherborne experience, that there does seem to be something more involved in it than just a bright theory. There's hope. There's hope that a qualitative act, on however small our particular widows might be, that since qualitative situations are not bound by quantitative rules, a small act of quality by you or me, or you,
Our cameraman.
is as large a qualitative act as a large act, since quantity and quality is two separate instances. And that if one can in some small way bring a qualitative situation into one's life, it does affect others.